Okay. Hello, welcome. My name is Rick Coates. I am the president of the Benzie Area Chamber of Commerce. We appreciate you joining us to watch this video as we talk about the bond proposal for Benzie County Schools. And so let me introduce to you our panel tonight that is going to talk about the importance of Benzie Central Schools, what Benzie Central Schools have been up to, and why this yes vote on November 3rd is so important. So joining us is Amiee Erfourth. And if you see it spelled wrong somewhere, that's my fault. I think I put an extra A in there. As I was telling the panelists, I'm their worst nightmare. I'm the kid that waited to the last minute to do his term paper. And I know they don't do term papers anymore. You used to have to do, if you're younger, you used to have to do a term paper because it took all term to research through the paper. Now they can do it in one day. I needed that when I was in school. But Amiee Erfourth, you're the new superintendent of Benzie Schools. So congratulations. You've been with Benzie Central Schools for the last 20 years. You began your career as a first grade teacher at Betsy Valley Elementary, and you worked in that position for 14 years. You became the principal for the past 6 years at Betsy Valley Elementary. And I heard you during your interview process referencing the fact that you still had dial-up internet a little over a year ago there. So right. We have a lot of things to do here in Benzie County, but this millage is certainly, this bond proposal is certainly important. You went to Central Michigan University with a degree in elementary education. You have a master's degree, a master's of arts in administration from Central Michigan. So you're obviously a chip. And you are married to your husband, Dan. You have 3 children. Your oldest, Evan, just started his first year at Michigan Tech. And you have a son, Aiden, in middle school, and a daughter, Ava, that's in 4th grade at Betsy Valley Elementary. So, and Valerie Gerhart is a retired school counselor from Midland, but you began your teaching career here in Benzie County as a home economics teacher at Frankfurt. Do they still have home economics in school? I'm removed from all of this. I'm a new grandpa, so I'll learn soon, but is there home ec still?
Not really. However, I learned when I moved back here that Frankfurt has continued their life skills class. It's a requirement for seniors to graduate. And I'd always thought that was an amazing class. So Frankfurt's on the ball with continuing that requirement.
Sure. Yeah, I loved home economics when I was in school. It was one of my favorite classes. I think it's because we were always making cookies.
Yeah.
So you and your husband Bruce moved back to Beulah, where you're currently the president of the Sunrise Rotary Club, which has very much endorsed this bond proposal as an organization. You're involved with the Advocates for Benzie County, and like myself, you recruited me to become part of the Benzie or Best Benzie County, which is an educational advocacy program. And then you're involved in several early literacy programs in the county. I know just before COVID hit, you were involved in a project, I think it was between both Manistee and Benzie County, and it was like one of the first events canceled because of COVID, I believe.
I don't remember.
Back.
Oh.
Yeah, see, it's been, way back in March. So, and Amber Pomper, you were born and raised in Lake Ann and attended Benzie Central Schools K through 12.
Yes.
Right, and you attended CMU, you obtained a teaching degree there, then you came back and built a home and settled down in Lake Ann with your husband and kiddos. You taught preschool at Benzie Central, Benzie County for the past 8 years. And recently, just in the past year, you were chosen by the community to fill a seat on the Benzie Central School Board. So congratulations.
Yes. Thank you.
You have a middle school bonus son, which when I got your background, your little resume there, I didn't know what a bonus son was, and so I had to, I'm older, so I mean, so that's really cool. For those of you who don't know, that would be the same as a stepson. So,
Yep.
and then you have a 4-year-old daughter, and that is is she in some preschool? I know you're a stay-at-home mom, but is she in a preschool program?
So she was attending the Crystal Lake Cooperative Preschool,
Mhm.
and due to COVID, they did not reopen. So we had purchased her a little freestanding playhouse that I just begged my husband, and he worked tirelessly to convert into a little one-room schoolhouse. So unfortunately, or fortunately, whoever you're asking, mom is her teacher this year.
Okay. Understand, absolutely. Well, this is, as everybody that's watching and see, this is going to be a very casual conversation. We really, I should say, not we, I put this together last minute uh, and asked, and I'm grateful for the three of you to be able to do this and share your passion and talk to the voters of Benzie County that have this bond issue on their ballot as to its importance. The Chamber of Commerce, our board, it was a very simple, quick, easy vote, as it has been for other organizations. So the unanimously a few weeks back at our board meeting passed a vote saying absolutely the community of Benzie County needs to support this millage. This will be the fourth attempt over the last couple of years, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But as I was reflecting on it, a couple of my colleagues are products of the educational programs that we have in Benzie County. And I did a lot of research to get prepared for this because I am not a Benzie County resident, so I can't vote yes on this. But I watched this great video, Amber, that I found on your Facebook page that's like 7 or 8 minutes long that has former students that in most cases are now parents of Benzie Central Schools, excuse me. And it was really interesting. And the last person to speak is one of my media colleagues, Crystal Frost, and she was very eloquent in her support of this bond proposal. And she's a great example of the numerous, many students in all walks of life that are products of Benzie Central. And she's one of the most powerful voices in media here in Northern Michigan. And she attributes her success to her time and graduating from Benzie Central. And then one of the most important people we have in Northern Michigan, and a person that I work closely with, is Warren Call, and he's the president and CEO of Traverse Connect. And Warren is leading the future of our economic development in this region, the Creative Coast and the Northern Michigan Chamber Alliance, and so many other things that Traverse Connect is doing. And again, another example of a person who went to school here in Benzie County who is succeeding and has come back to our area, because both Warren and Crystal could be anywhere in the country and maybe anywhere in the world succeeding and doing, but they're here back in their homes of Northern Michigan, giving back to our communities. And I think that really, in my opinion, really gets to the heart of those that go to Benzie Central and why we need to get this millage passed. Whether you have a student in the program or not, it's extremely important. And so that's why the chamber's behind it. And I wanted to at least point out those two alums that I know and I work with on a daily basis, and know that their success is in part attributed to the teachers that they had when they were here in Benzie County. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to the panelists, pose a few questions to you. But I thought, Amiee, as the new superintendent, and you've been involved with the school district for 20 years, that you could maybe just give a little overview about Benzie Central and the importance of this millage.
Well, thank you, Rick, for first off for hosting us and bringing this into everyone's kind of attention. It's a very important issue, and obviously, I believe strongly in Benzie Central. I've given my entire career, dedicated it to Benzie Central Schools and the children and families in this community. As our website says, Benzie County Central Schools is a premier school district in Northwest Lower Michigan. We have been recognized over the years for many different things, like beating the odds. The Mackinac Center CAP recognized us. U.S. News and World Report recognized us as a silver medal winner. The College Board and AP Honor Roll recognized us as well. But along with that, Benzie County is a very unique county. We actually, Benzie Central Schools, our motto is educating students across every corner of our county. And that is true because we have students that attend Benzie County Central that live in Benzie, but we also have those families that live in Manistee. We also even have some families that actually are in Grand Traverse County. And so one of the things we want to make sure that voters understand is that you might actually be a Benzie Central School voter, depending on which county you live in. Even though you're not in Benzie County, you might also be a voter. So we want to make sure that people understand that we are actually pulling students from those other areas as well that are actually part of our school district. Currently, Benzie Central is educating 1,346 preschool through 12th grade students. That includes students that are in person and virtual. We also employ 145 people in this county, and I believe that makes us the second largest employer in the county. We have a proud history of being able to offer academics as well as the fine arts. We also have had a proud tradition of athletics, and we continue to try to find all the different ways to reach students and help them achieve and be the best they can be. So we are really excited that you are drawing attention to this because it is desperately needed. And I know that that's something that we're going to talk about as the night unfolds. So thank you again, Rick.
Right, absolutely. We're less than 2 weeks away, and the last time, I think it was short by 35 or somewhere around 35 votes. And so we don't want that to happen again. And one of the questions, I mean, the three of you certainly are every day hearing from voters, from parents, from teachers, staff, and that. And I think one of the questions I think we should just start out with is that why has this taken 4 times? And you can all answer this, so it doesn't matter who starts first, but I know it had to have been frustrating back in August. Every proposal passed except for this one, and that's frustrating. And so let's just start with that. And Valerie, why don't you go ahead and start first?
Yeah, okay. So yes, very frustrating. You know, the residents passed the senior resources bond or increase, and we have great senior resources in Benzie County taking care of the older population. And I'm proud of that in Benzie County. But I think one of the things we need to remember is that we do need the young families here to take care of us. Whether that be healthcare, whether that be personal care, our home care. We need young families to move here and start businesses. And there's some pretty amazing young people that have stayed in this area and had their businesses be very successful. We passed the increase for the jail. You know, so we're taking good care of people who are struggling to get their lives in order. If we had, I mean, we have strong school right now with the staff we have at the school, but you invest money with children today, with education today, for every dollar you invest today in education, that's $7 less you will have to invest in incarceration for adults who don't quite figure that all out. So, you know, great bang for your dollar if that's what you're looking at, to invest in the schools. It's what will attract our families to come here. You know, we do lose some to Glen Lake, we lose some to Traverse City schools because there's just something a little more appealing about those buildings. And we can be that here in Benzie County. So, you know, it is disappointing. We've asked 4 times. And, you know, we can talk a little bit more in a few minutes about maybe what we had to change in those asks, but
Sure.
Yeah.
And Amber, your thoughts? I mean, as basically a lifelong resident here and a person who, went through the school system and now have kids in the school system, you're serving on the school board. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, sure. Honestly, my very first thought is the reason we are on our fourth ask is miscommunication and misinformation. I think it's been a real struggle, not only because we are a large rural district,
Mhm.
but just because there has been, from the first ask to the fourth ask, they are different for various reasons. But not everyone is on social media. Not everyone checks their email every day. Not everyone has high-speed internet in our county. So, it's a struggle, and deciding if you're asking the taxpayers for money. Are you going to spend money to send out mailers? Are you going to spend money to do yard signs? How, when you're trying to be fiscally responsible, how are you going to use that money to campaign then? When you have a committee, and obviously it's not the school district money that is used to campaign, it's fundraising, it's donations. But then how do you do that? As a school district, the only thing we have paid for is to be on the ballot. So, that's the only thing that we have put the money out for. And the reason that we started prior to waiting until it was free to be on now is because back then we knew the urgency of the ask. We knew that the millage was going to be expiring. But unfortunately, there hasn't been a great job done at getting that urgency and that information out to the community.
And Amy, any thoughts from your perspective?
I think Amber is spot on with this, that having such a large county, it's really a challenge to try to make sure that we're communicating with all of them. I also think there was some misinformation that happened. We also know that that sometimes when people live in a different county, they don't realize that they actually are eligible to vote in a school election for the school district that they're actually assigned to. And then, of course, with our last election, we also found that after the recount was done, that about 7% of those ballots that they found, people actually just didn't flip the ballot over and even vote at all. So there were definitely a few things that we're hoping to clarify and change this time. But I think the biggest is just making sure that people know that we're very transparent and trying to get out a clear message. One of the biggest pieces that we have been doing is trying to listen to the concerns that people are sharing and making sure to address those. So I know one concern that has been addressed is what are the sinking fund monies doing and what are they going towards? So if you check out Benzie Central School's website, we actually have updated that with all of the projects that have been completed so far with sinking fund dollars. There's also a new tab on there that's called Proposed Plan. So moving forward, it lists all the things that are needed to be done for our facilities and how they're going to be paid for, whether they're sinking fund dollars or bond dollars. And that is really eye-opening to see. Our sinking fund will expire in about 6 more years. And that really gives us, just between 5 and 6 million left to spend. We actually didn't get to do any projects this summer because of COVID. So we have about 1.5 million sitting in the bank ready to go. But the roof repair for the high school is being projected at 3 million. So that's not something that we can do in 1 year of sinking fund or 2 years, or, so then we have to start looking at when we have projects that expensive, we just can't do them right away. And that's disappointing. So, we're hoping to get that information out so people know just how much it really does cost to do these projects and that we are being very fiscally responsible with the funds that we've been given.
Okay. And I know another question that some have been asking is that after 3 times that it's failed, why not just ask for a renewal instead of an increase. And I've posted essentially what that increase is going to look like. But Amber, do you want to start with that?
Sure, absolutely. The biggest thing is these needs are not going away. And the needs of today are not the same needs that we had for the previous millage, which was passed, just over 20 years ago. Let alone, we've had a lot of pushback because of the closing of Platte River. And so, doing research and finding information on the different schools in the area. Platte River was dedicated in 1956 and built for $177,944. We can't even fix a roof on the building now. So, and I know that's a long time ago, but that's where when you hear a lot of community members saying, because we do have a lot of long time community families, it was good enough for me. And so these changes haven't happened. That's not the case. It's not good enough anymore. And I know even when I graduated and was, helping to campaign for the last millage that passed and is now set to expire, in my opinion, that's not good enough for the kids now. I want better for our future. And, the more we invest in our schools, the stronger our community is, the better our property, value is. So it's just not realistic to say, okay, let's keep it the same, because I wonder how many people are making the same amount of money today that they were 20 years ago. Probably not many.
Right. Amy, your thoughts?
Well, I think Amber hit on a lot of that, but I heard a really great analogy, and I don't know if this came from you, Val, but somebody was sharing it that, when you have the choice to go to the dentist and they say, hey, I'm using 20, 50-year-old equipment, but it still works. It's fine. Are you okay with that? Or would you rather go to somebody that has the most up-to-date technologies and facilities? And I think that that's really true. I mean, you can get by on that, but is that what you want when you are given the choice? So we definitely need to make sure that we are giving our kids the same chances and the same opportunities as their counterparts are across the counties and across our state. We want to make sure that we're preparing our kids for the future. And that is a challenge when we are in facilities that were designed 60 or 70 years ago. That's just not what they were designed to do. And we're really trying hard to make sure that we are creating facilities where kids can learn synchronously while a teacher is teaching in person and they're working in from remote. But those are infrastructure issues that our buildings were not designed to handle. So those are also things that we've got to continue to work on and upgrade.
Yeah. And how about you, Val?
To add to that,
Sure.
to add to that, I joined the community team for their November 2018 bond proposal. So that meant we started like 9 months earlier than that. And at that time, we were as a group looking at what do we want to ask for? We're not going to ask for the Cadillac version. It's fine to drive a decent car here. We don't need the top of the line. But in kind of looking at what are those basic needs at that time, we were looking at having two full-size gyms, because the conditioning class, weight training and conditioning class at Benzie Central is popular with all students, not just your athletes. They need a good place to run. And I kind of looked at it as a retired person as, hey, maybe there's going to be a place indoors for us to run in the evening or take walks in the evening, because walking in the winter around here is not safe for us older people. So, and I would go into the school after school, and they use the halls for running, and it's dangerous to try to walk those halls after school. So at the time we thought 2 full gyms was important, but after 2 attempts to pass, we realized we need to go back to we need to ask the community, we need to survey them, like Amy said. And in that survey, we said, all right, let's let this go. A decent gym, some remodeling those locker rooms that are pretty disgusting. Let's just bring this down and respond to what people are saying. And so that 3rd attempt that happened a year ago, was, or I lose count of all my attempts, but anyway, we eventually dropped that 2 gyms, and we've been so close. And so many people, like Amy said, that didn't vote the backside of the ballot last time. Had they voted it, would we be even asking again for this? But we are, because the need is real. We cannot give this up.
Sure. Amy, when, from your perspective as the superintendent, and certainly Amber and Val, we want you to weigh in on this as well, but as you listen to parents, and you also have an understanding of being able to attract people to want to live here in Benzie County, what are you seeing? What are you seeing in regards to why supporting this bond is so important from parents' perspectives?
Sure. Obviously, when you are looking at a choice, and families have choices, and we we have lots of neighboring schools, and they look at what the amenities are, they look at what the offerings are, and they are definitely going to be attracted to the facilities for sure. But a bigger portion of that really is, what are the opportunities that we can house within it? And a really big attraction for families, especially young families, is childcare and having access to preschool. Um, right now, Lake Ann has 3 preschool classrooms, and they are busting at the seams. They do not have any other access or space. So this bond would allow us to add 2 more classrooms so that we could increase our early childhood offerings. We are seeing a lot of families that start off in a preschool program, stay all the way through 12th grade. I just finished signing off on school of choice families that have left our district. And a neighboring district has 159 of our students. And when I went through and looked, the number one reason that they have left is because of starting preschool in another district, and they just stayed there. And then the next running up number is siblings. I have a sibling that already attends this other school. So we are losing lots of families because we don't have these offerings available. A lot of it is because of space. So that's something that we want to make sure that we are being smart and thinking through for the future. We want to make sure that young families want to come here. This also impacts, businesses as well. If we don't have a workforce and we don't have these workers that are able to do these jobs, we aren't going to be able to sustain business in our community either. And young families don't have a choice. I mean, and a lot of our workforce are younger families. So we want to make sure that we're continuing to grow those options and make this an attractive place to be.
Yeah, that must be disheartening for you, Amber, as somebody who went through K through 12 and you committed to coming back to where you grew up, and you live in Lake Ann, and that's obviously a bordering community, easy for people to consider, Traverse City schools. So this has got to be disheartening to hear that many students that should be going to Benzie Central have chosen elsewhere.
Yes, absolutely. And I mean, my parents went to Benzie, my older brother went to Benzie. Like, these roots run deep.
Sure.
It is. And I chose to come back here and, teach Head Start within, and GSRP preschool within Benzie County. And so, yeah, it is disheartening. It's also a new thing, relatively new, for school districts to deal with school of choice. This isn't something that, we were dealing with 20 some years ago when you're trying to get a millage passed. And now people are going, well, I want to vote no because my kid doesn't go there anyway, even though I live there. These are new concepts. So in one of my Facebook posts, I had put out, because I heard people asking, oh, they just want money and money and money, and they want more, and they're asking. And my kid does school of choice. So I put it out there with some just quick calculations. You can go to any school's website. They have to list under transparency and reporting their budget, their fund revenue. And I just was trying to show people that we're not out of calculation. We're not out of whack for what we're asking from our community and the people who live here. And in fact, for any of the Benzie County families who are sending their children, say, to Frankfort, Frankfurt, their revenue is 84% local revenue. And revenues for a school budget come from 4 main factors: federal, state, local, and other. And so for local funding for Frankfurt, it's 84%. For Glen Lake, it's 65%. For Benzie, it's 64%. So we're not asking more from our families than any other community. And in fact, I posed the question for those school of choice families, what if people in those districts are also pulling their kids and sending them somewhere else? And they were starting to say, never mind, I don't want to invest in this school anymore. I know I live in Frankfurt. I know I live in Glen Lake District, but I don't want to pay that tax increase. So I'm going to start keeping my own money in my own pocket. Then those schools are going to start to deteriorate and lose, funding sources. So it definitely poses an issue. It's difficult, to say the least. And, trying to help families see by investing in your community schools in the district that you're living in, it's going to bring that quality to your communities. So some of those things that you're seeing as a attraction to the other local schools, we can start to offer that when we have the resources available.
Yeah. And Val, what about you? I mean, obviously you came back here, you and your husband retired back here into Benzie County, and you've been extremely supportive of educational programs. What are you hearing from your circle that you and your husband are in?
Well, part of this, Amy hit on it there, and Amber reflected too, the preschool idea, with the advocates for Benzie County, we brought Dolly Parton's Imagination Library to the community. The big thing we want to impact is children being ready for kindergarten. It's high stakes now for 3rd graders, 8 years old. If they don't pass that reading test, they're looking at some being held back. Just some really unfortunate things. And you can't just suddenly start working with the child when they get to kindergarten. So preschool is so important nowadays. As I said, we brought Dolly Parton's Imagination Library. We have worked with Traverse City Sunrise Rotary and brought Born to Read to our newborns in the community. We've brought the Power Book Bags to the summer reading programs at the libraries, and now it's at the elementary schools in Benzie Central. So between the advocates, between Benzie Sunrise Rotary, we've really invested not just our dollars, but our work, our rolling up our sleeves and getting to work. Because we know these preschoolers, getting these students earlier opportunities to develop their skills is so critical. And not just the children, but also being able to reach the parents. And that's where preschools can have a bigger impact with teaching parents how to prepare their kids for school. So I see this increase of preschools being critical. More classrooms available in the Crystal Lake area, increasing it in Lake Ann, critical.
Sure. Let's talk about what this bond is going to go and fund. I apologize. I was bouncing around here trying to be able to, and let me see if I can find it amongst the mess that I have here. Find the screen of maybe I won't be able to. Nope, I'm on Amber's. So I guess I didn't pull it up, but I was trying to pull up what that list that's on the website, and we're going to send everybody to the website of what this is going to accomplish in regards to much needed building improvements.
I have it.
Yes.
Oh, look at that. I should just try to zoom into that. So.
Right. So I can read it for you as you are displaying it if you'd like, but
sure. Thank you, Amber.
So in order of the card, Betsy Valley is looking to receive a roof replacement, replacing the ceilings in the building, HVAC and electrical system upgrades, as well as some other interior upgrades. The bus garage, we are looking at getting a new bus garage and new transportation. So new buses for the next 10 years annually. Just as a quick side note, Benzie Central in 2016 was ranked 21st in the state for costs that we put out on transportation. obviously, because we are making sure all of the kids in every corner of our county are getting to school. We travel over 2,000 miles a day. Our bus fleet does. So having new buses is really critical to us getting to educate students. District-wide technology, we're also looking at new student computers and projectors and other equipment in all of the classrooms. Middle school and high school are looking at remodeled science classrooms, security cameras and building access controls, remodeled instructional spaces, replacing the roof, the HVAC upgrades, including a ventilator replacement, fitness and weight classroom additions, and ADA compliance upgrades. There's also a new K-5 building that would be built on the high school campus. And then Lake Ann will also be receiving upgrades of 2 new classrooms to work on adding space for more preschool rooms, replacing the roof and replacing the sidewalk.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Amber. We can get you, I put a spotlight on you, so you're sort of the center of the screen right now. So obviously these, and you're a classic example of the education you get in Benzie. You can think on your feet, you can improvise. So, and of course, see, I'm so old, I haven't learned how all of this technology works. This is like the second time I've done a Zoom webinar, and I'm like hoping I'm not gonna
Good job.
disconnect
You're
us.
doing
So all right, does Val or do you want to add anything else in regards to the importance of the infrastructure? Because I think I'm not sure why there's justification in anybody's mind. When I looked at that, when I watched that video, Amber, that you have, that some of the alums made, and the one gentleman was holding up one of those power drink cans, and that cost a couple of dollars. And he's like, my increase is equivalent to one of these a week. So those are $2. So
Actually, a month.
A month.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Wow. A month.
Yeah.
So that's crazy. So what are your thoughts, Val?
Well, there were a lot of letters to the editor today in today's Record Patriot. And that was one thing I wanted to focus on too, how much this really costs, and it sounds like a lot when you say a new building for 19.5 million, but I guess I was curious too with the numbers that Amber gave about the cost for Platte River back in 1956. What would that be in today's dollars if someone wanted to do that math? But one letter in particular that really struck me, I mean, they were great letters today, but Tom Kelly's letter, and Tom being an alumni of Platte River Honor High School, I believe, or at least Platte River School. He caused me to stop for a moment and think, when I go back to my hometown, I'm from over in the Thumb, Harbor Beach, and I come in on Main Street and I go right by where the Little Red Schoolhouse was, and I was in kindergarten, first and second grade, kindergarten and first grade at the Little Red Schoolhouse, and that's no longer there. It's an empty lot, and there's this moment of, oh, man, I wonder what that would have been so cool if they could have kept that building. But you know what? When I drive by, I can smell those hallways. I hear feet on the wooden floors of that school. I remember the giggles and laughs playing on the maple in the playground, and girls always had to wear those little tights under our skirts in the wintertime so that we would stay warm. Those memories, like Tom said, those memories will never leave me. Even though the building's gone, I will always have those memories. Am I sad the building's gone? Yeah. Am I proud of what my hometown school district is like today? Absolutely. Because they've kept up with the changes. They've passed millages. They had to tear down buildings that were no longer worth investing in, and they tore them down. We're not talking about tearing them down. But like Tom said, we don't need to walk away from tradition. We need to be brave enough to do our part for the generations to come. And I just thought, so eloquent, so well said.
Right. At the chamber, something that I've adopted on behalf of the chamber is that we're really trying to focus on moving Benzie County in the direction of what I call the contemporary rural lifestyle, because a rural lifestyle continues to change. And I was talking to my father about this, and he said, you have to support these schools. And he said, look, at things change. He goes, when I went to school, When I went to a rural school, we had outhouses. We had to go out to an outhouse, and things change. It's a different world that we're in. And
Thank
so,
goodness.
and those changes are important. And what you're talking about is extremely important to the not just for these young students and their futures, but it's extremely important to the economic climate that we have here in Benzie County. So is there anything else that the three of you want to add? I think we should close with that. If you have some final comments to pose why somebody right now that may be watching this that's thinking about voting no, or maybe isn't sure how they should vote, just some convincing words from the three of you. And Val, why don't you go ahead and go first?
Okay, I just, again, think about the kids, you know, we took care, we've taken really good care of senior citizens in Benzie County, whether it's the Maples for them when they need to move into an assisted living setup, whether it's transportation, the Benzie bus transports a lot of seniors, whether it's the senior resource center. We've taken care of those in our jail that need that good care. It's time, folks. We got to take care of the kids. You know, we're talking, if you own $100,000 home, it's only giving up one of those power drinks a month. Let's take care of the kids.
All right. And Amber?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a little bit of everything we've said tonight, and honestly, touching on, you know, what Val was talking about with Tom's letter, having such deep roots in this community, and having attended these schools. You know, I attended Platte River. We didn't have Lake Ann Elementary yet. And I'm in this weird age, I guess they call it middle age, I don't know, where, you know, I attended that school that is now sitting there closed. And yet I have children that are going to be, you know, I have a bonus son in middle school and my 4-year-old daughter who's going to be coming into this school. And I want better for her. And I'm so grateful that the generations that have come before me have done that for me. You know, that millage passed when I was a senior, helping my mom on the committee to get that passed. I'm so grateful that passed. And I was in band back then, and I never got to play in that fancy, shiny auditorium. But man, am I glad that passed. I'm glad that our band program had that and was able to continue on and be successful. And I really want that for my children and all of the children that are coming through. And someday when I don't have any children in the school system, I still want that for my community.
Awesome. And Amy, in closing, from your perspective, I first, as you answer the question, want to say that I think it speaks volumes that your predecessor, Matt Olson, is helping this committee out. He is taking another position. He didn't move. He's staying. He believes in a school district that he led for almost the last 5 years, and he's been working hard to get this millage passed, and he's keeping his kids in the school system. So you've stepped into from your predecessor's standpoint and going to carry this through. So talk about, from your perspective, letting this community of Benzie County know, as the new superintendent, why they need to vote yes.
Sure. My grandpa used to tell me all the time that education is the great equalizer. It's really the way that everyone gets a fair chance at life. And we owe it to the students in our community to make sure that they have the same opportunities as kids across the counties and our state. We need to make sure that these kids have that same access. And, he used to tell me too, he said, you know what? I don't have any kids in school anymore, but I always vote yes for schools. And he said, that's my job. Somebody voted yes for my kids before I started paying taxes, and they got to have a great school because somebody else cared about my kids before they even came along. And that has always stuck with me, that schools really are our chance to make sure that our future is bright. And our kids are really the ones, just like the video that Amber posted and that Nikki created, that those are our kids. Somebody cared enough to make sure that those kids had the opportunities that they needed so that they could go off into the world and be trailblazers. And, we have so many kids who need that same chance at life. And I just really hope that our community will remember that and remember that, hey, somebody paid for you to go to school at one point in time so you could have those opportunities. And now it's our chance to give back and make sure that the next generation gets to have great facilities and amazing teachers and have those same opportunities so that they can leave their mark on the world.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank the three of you. We're going to certainly post all of the resources. People will be able to watch this on our YouTube channel. Speaking of, you said Nikki, I guess that's Nicolette Brown.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So I read the letter that she wrote on her Facebook page, and it's very moving. And so I'm going to make sure I'm sure it is okay with her. We're going to post that, but she made this wonderful reference to when COVID hit and chaos struck for all of us. The school system was there for parents, for the kids who were confused. And, she can't thank the school system enough for helping her family and all of the other families get through this very trying time. So we'll get that letter posted as well. So thank all of you for doing this, and let's make sure everyone gets out and votes yes on November 3rd, or if you're getting ready to send in your ballot tomorrow, make sure you check that yes box, circle that or color that in. Yes, we need to get this done. So thank you.
Yes.
Awesome.
Thank
All
you.
right, everybody have a great night. Now I'll see if I can figure out how to stop this thing. So
Thank you,
okay.
Rick.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank
Rick.
you.
This
Yep.
was great. We appreciate it.
All right.